If Julie had known what Publio was thinking, she would definitely have laughed. Some people simply thought too highly of themselves. To think that she would even consider being his wife, it was absurd. Suddenly, Publio's gaze turned cold as he noticed the entrance to a cave in the charred black ground. He was extremely fast. In a few blinks, he arrived at the entrance. May followed closely behind and saw the entrance of the cave. Her eyes narrowed as she stammered. "Could it be?" Publio said with some excitement. "There are still remnants of Divine King auras. This must be a special place." "Unfortunately, that lowlife beat us to it," May interjected. But when she saw Publio's chilly gaze in response, she was immediately frightened. She swallowed hard. She wasn't a fool and could tell what her crush Publio had in mind with Julie. Her face turned ashen, and her hatred of the famous disciple of the Holy Moon Empress grew deeper. Publio withdrew his gaze and said lightly, "It has indeed been found already. But so what? The person beat us by maybe a day. There is likely still significant treasure inside. Besides," Publio's lips curved slightly as he thought to himself, "soon Julie and I will share everything." He looked May in the eye and advised, "Let's go. I'm hopeful the treasures within the cave will allow me to break through to the 7th level of the God King realm." Publio was already at the peak of the 6th level, but not everyone in his position could break through to the 7th level. For this represented the entrance into the upper God King realm, which was a monumental obstacle. If it wasn't for the fact that he possessed a supreme heavenly emperor foundation, he couldn't even consider it. In the years he had been in the Divine King's space, Publio's foundation had become even deeper. However, he was still half a step away from breaking through to the 7th level. Publio and May came to the cave and soon discovered the secret of the stone lions. After killing the 2 stone lions, the 2 of them went through one of the entrances. Publio had originally hoped they could split up at this point, but May insisted on following him. A month later, a ray of light fell and Imran arrived. If he had encountered the God King's space at the same time as Julie, they would have teleported to locations that were closer together, given that they were both from the Flame God realm. However, Imran had arrived years later, and so it took Imran a month to find Julie's location. "The jade pendant is flickering intensely. Julie must be here. But where?" Imran wondered aloud as he looked around and frowned. But soon, Imran found the cave. He went on, "So that's how it is. There is actually a special place here. Julie has likely already entered. I will also go down and take a look." Imran saw the 16 entrances and immediately felt a headache coming on. How should he choose? He reasoned, 16 entrances, but the final outcome should be the same in all cases. If the 16 entrances correspond to the location of 16 treasures, then the value of this special place is indeed great. However, the possibility of this is extremely low. In a month, the auras left behind by the Divine King had yet to completely dissipate. Imran had absorbed a level 1 Divine King aura before, so how could he not recognize the auras left behind here? He thus estimated the treasure within was average at best. He had only been in the Divine King's space for a short period of time. Imran did not believe that his luck was so good that he would come upon a truly rare object just like that. Such things weren't just lying around, even in a special zone. Rapidly, Imran too discovered the mystery of the stone lions. After 2 punches shattered the stone lions, 2 Grade 1 Divine King stones fell into his hands. After that, Imran passed through the entrance and arrived at the 2nd level of the underground cave. The 2nd level was a long passageway. The depths of the passageway were incomparably dark, and no one knew what existed inside. Imran discovered that his divine soul had been suppressed to the extreme ever since he arrived at the 2nd level. It was even inferior to his bare eyesight. And the passageway was separated into 2 sections, one leading left and the other leading right. There were 2 stone lions guarding each path. Given his powers of perception, Imran immediately understood that these stone lions would be resurrected once he got close to them. With a smile on his face, he slowly walked over. When he got close to the first pair of stone lions, they were resurrected as expected. 2 heaven-shaking auras shot out, baring their fangs and brandishing their claws as they attacked Imran. Imran threw out another 2 punches. These lions were about as strong as the ones guarding the main entrance. Soon, they were destroyed by Imran, and the 2 Grade 1 Divine King stones once again fell into his hands. Imran continued forward, the stone lions constantly reviving. He took them on over and over, but at the same time recognized that the lions were growing stronger as he moved forward. This was further evidenced by the fact that the God King stones he was obtaining were becoming deeper in their purple hue. If he began accumulating level 2 stones, there would be an obvious increase in his internal strength base. He could not help but feel a jolt of excitement. Although, in the end, his sights were really set on level 3 stones, which could have a truly transformative effect. Finally, Imran arrived at the endpoint of the 2nd floor of the underground cave. There was a huge stone door blocking his way, preventing him from reaching the 3rd floor. Yet, oddly, this threshold wasn't guarded by any stone lions. Rather, there was a portrait of a huge fire lion hanging above the door. Its energy was turbulent and lifelike, and there was a shocking aura in it. Imran smiled slightly. He already knew what to do. When he approached the stone door, the fire lion in the portrait on the stone door suddenly moved. It actually jumped out from the surface. The fire lion was huge, and its body was covered in flames. When it opened its mouth, a sea of fire rushed forth. "As expected," Imran muttered, then went on. "He's at the 3rd level of the God King realm and has a supreme heavenly emperor foundation." Such an opponent could by no means be considered weak, but Imran's confidence was unshakable. "Scatter!" Imran shouted and threw out a punch. The force of the punch was like a howling wind, rushing into the raging flames. The violent whirlwind blew the flames into pieces, and before they could even get close to Imran, they had already vanished into thin air. If Imran's enemy had been someone else, at this moment, they would have had to choose to defend or dodge. However, although the fire lion was resurrected like a real ferocious beast, it was still in existence without any intelligence. Facing Imran's punch, the fire lion didn't even try to dodge. Instead, it welcomed Imran's punch directly. In the next moment, a purple stone of middle color depth shot out. This was a level 2 God King stone. Imran's eyes flashed with excitement as he reasoned. "A level 2 God King stone, and we are only on the 2nd level. On the next level, I'm sure I'll find a great deal of level 2 stones, and perhaps even level 3 stones." He examined the level 2 stone in his hand. Its purple hue was dotted with flecks of gold. It was no ordinary specimen. Rather, it was extremely close to the 3rd grade. This portended good things ahead. The third sublevel of the underground cave was almost identical to the second floor. The only difference was that the stone lions here were much stronger. In the first parts of the floor, the stone lions released first-grade God King stones upon being defeated. But even these were exceptional in the intensity of their hue. Everything was a bit more valuable here. In no time at all, Imran reached the stone door to the fourth floor. The fire lion guarding the threshold was a level 4 God King with a supreme heavenly emperor foundation. He used the 9 solar divine sword and other ultimate techniques to kill the fire lion, and finally obtained a grade 3 God King stone. The bright purple stone fell into his hand, and a vast divine king aura spread out. Imran took a slight breath and said, "The purity is outstanding. If I can refine and absorb it, it's very likely that I will reach the peak of the level 4 God King realm and strengthen my foundation. If I can obtain more of them, I stand a very good chance of breaking through to the 5th level soon. And not only that, but also stabilizing my new realm." After that, Imran stepped into the 4th sublevel of the underground cave. The 4th floor was another long tunnel, and there were stone lions on both sides. During the first half of his passage through the floor, Imran obtained only level 2 God King stones. Their quality was extremely high, but he couldn't help but feel disappointed. For the only real stone of value for him at this point would be a level 3 God King stone. Level 2 varietals could indeed help him raise his internal strength base incrementally, but if he wanted to break through to the 5th level, they were essentially useless. Finally, Imran arrived at the end of the 4th level. The resurrected fire lion was as strong as a 5th level God King who had the foundation of a supreme heavenly emperor. Even if one considered only its combat strength, it was still terrifying. An ordinary level 4 God King would have been instantly burnt to ashes by the fire lion's flames. Further, the huge fire lion was extremely fast. It spat out blue flames from its mouth almost the instant it revived, over and over. The flames swept toward Imran and swallowed him within a blink of an eye. Imran quickly retreated. At the same time, he struck out with the 9 solar divine sword. 9 suns rose from his back, and a vast amount of sunlight shot out, along with the flames of the sun. However, the blue flames spat out by the fire lion had already devoured the flames of the sun before Imran could even register what sort of reaction had taken place. The blue flames were simply more formidable and more agile. As for Imran's 9 solar divine sword, although it landed on the fire lion's body, it didn't even pierce through its fur. In front of the extremely strong defense of the fire lion, the 9 solar divine sword was like a butter knife. Imran had never imagined this scene. The fire lion then jumped up and sent the 9 solar divine sword flying. It followed up by striking Imran with its claw. The fire lion's speed was extremely fast. In the blink of an eye, it had arrived right before him. Imran only had time to use the 9 solar divine sword to protect himself. In the next second, the huge claw of the fire lion collided with the 9 sun protective technique. The defensive barrier formed by the 9 solar divine body was extremely fragile in front of the fire lion's claw. It was broken in an instant. After that, the claw landed on Imran's body. Imran screamed in pain and was sent flying backward. His 9 solar divine body almost collapsed at this moment. It It has the power of a level 5 God King? Imran uttered. He was shocked. Although he knew that the jump between levels was formidable in the God King realm, especially if one had a Supreme Heavenly Emperor foundation, he was nonetheless shocked by the sheer power of this creature. It could no doubt easily kill a level 5 God King with a Heavenly Monarch foundation. Pure form immortal physique, condense! Imran endured his injuries and shouted. The aura expanded and forced him to stop in midair. Imran's eyes were fixed on the fire lion's body, and his face couldn't hide the joy he was feeling. For he was nearly certain that if he managed to kill this fire lion, the thing that would explode out would most likely not be a level 3 God King stone, but rather a level 4 stone. Such a precious object was extremely useful in the journey toward breaking through to the 6th level of the God King realm, not to mention the 5th, which was his goal. How could Imran not be happy at this moment? But the fire lion attacked again. Imran took a deep breath and held the eternal spear in his hand. In an instant, he unsheathed it and stabbed it toward the fire lion's head like a Viking going out to sea. A strong force was transmitted into Imran's hand, along with the eternal spear. He felt a sweetness in his throat and was sent flying once again. The fire lion was also forced back by the stab. When its head and the eternal spear collided, sparks even flew throughout the room. Upon closer inspection, a dent appeared on the fire lion's head, but it had not been stabbed. Otherwise, the fire lion would have definitely suffered a fatal injury. Imran's retreating body was finally stabilized with great difficulty. His heart was in shock. He mused to himself, "This creature is too strong. The gap between us is too great. I totally underestimated this situation. It's no wonder that after reaching the Middle Divine King realm, only by refining the immortal treasure and borrowing the immortal power stored in one's body can one fight above one's realm. Or, even if you continuously fuse with more divine flames, like the Axe family, you can still erupt with incredible power. If neither of these conditions exist, I guess I will only be able to rely on my main body's foundation, which surpasses that of a Supreme Heavenly Emperor, to fight those technically stronger than me." Imran's expression was solemn. This fire lion was really not easy to deal with. Of course, if he released the immortal power that was contained in the body of the 9 solar god, he would be able to get rid of the other party. However, a divine king was simply unable to absorb the energy of heaven and earth to convert it into an immortal power. Once it was used up, it would be gone. Every single trace of the immortal power was extremely precious. For the time being, Imran did not plan on using the immortal power to kill the fire lion. The fire lion attacked again. Imran waved the eternal spear in his hand, and then he suddenly swept it forward. "Eternal Milky Way!" he screamed. The tunnel seemed to have transformed into an unfamiliar starry sky in an instant. Then, a celestial river poured toward the lion. The fire lion spat out flames. In an instant, a terrifying collision resounded throughout the passageway. The terrifying might emitted by the fluctuation caused the walls to begin to crack. One could imagine the power that was being unleashed. "Are we equally matched? No, I should say that I'm still slightly inferior," Imran reasoned. At the same time, he felt the boiling blood in his body and saw the surging energy of the fire lion. He could not help but sigh. Without using the immortal power, this was the extent of his combat strength. He was almost at the top level, instantly close to the 5th grade of the God King realm. "Do I really need to use the immortal power?" Imran's expression was deep as he wondered aloud. At this moment, he suddenly noticed the depression on the fire lion's forehead. Imran's eyes lit up. He reasoned to himself, "So that's how it is. I should target that spot." With a plan in mind, Imran wanted to attack first. He thrust out the eternal spear. After the fire lion spat out flames, Imran once again used the eternal Milky Way technique. The eternal Milky Way and the flames canceled each other out. Imran took this opportunity to stab the fire lion's head again. The fire lion roared angrily. Its huge head shook, and the eternal spear was bounced to the right side. Then, the fire lion rammed its head into Imran again. "Nine Suns protection!" Imran shouted. The power of 9 suns coalesced, and Imran was sent flying once again. Yet his facial expression remained unchanged. After launching another eternal Milky Way attack, he struck out with his spear once again. A bright light appeared, and the spear once again pierced the forehead of the fire lion. "Eternal Milky Way! Thrust! The 9 suns protection!" he said 3 times, like an incantation. He was then sent flying by either the head of the fire lion or the claw of the fire lion. Yet his divine body was extremely strong. Plus, the protection of the 9 solar energies had offset a portion of the power. Otherwise, Imran would have been badly wounded by now. After being stabbed once again, the fire lion let out a miserable howl, and its head was pierced through by the eternal spear. Imran held the spear in his hand, kneeling on one knee, somewhat out of breath. He had consumed a great deal of energy this bout. Fortunately, the result was pleasing. He had finally gotten rid of the fire lion. Knowing the fall of the great beast, a purple God King stone that was deep purple in hue floated in midair. It was shockingly a level 4 stone. "It really is a level 4 God King stone," Imran stated, overjoyed. He guessed such a stone was rare in the God King space generally. Some God Kings might not encounter one in the course of 1,000 years. The 4th grade Divine King stone floated in front of Imran. Boundless world energy rippled out and was absorbed into Imran's body by the world power belonging to him. As expected of a level 4 God King stone, just the world power emitted from it is enough to strengthen my inner world, Imran mused as his expression changed slightly. He could clearly feel the astounding energy contained within the stone. He went on, "With just this stone, I will be able to advance to the peak of the level 4 God King realm and solidify my new realm. After that, I will be able to break through to the 5th level of the God King realm with relative ease. This is the reward at the end of the 4th level. What about the 5th level?" Imran wondered to himself. He was looking forward to the reward on the 5th level even more. The stone door in front of Imran finally shattered with a rumble, and the way toward the 5th sublevel revealed itself. The scene on the 5th floor also caused Imran's expression to change drastically. This floor was not a long passageway like the others. It was similar to the 1st level, a sprawling and open spatial zone. 18 stone bridges led to a platform in the center, under which was a sea of fire. However, this wasn't the reason why Imran's facial expression changed drastically. It was rather that on the platform there was a purple flaming lotus blooming. Julie was sitting on it. Judging from the situation, she was probably absorbing the energy of the lotus to break through to a higher level. Near Julie, there were 2 people. One, a 5th level God King, and one, a 6th level God King, attacking continuously, and they were blocked by the barrier around the stone platform. Imran could see that although the barrier was strong, the barrier was on the verge of collapsing. Obviously, it wouldn't be able to hold on much longer. At this moment, Julie happened to be at the most critical moment. Once the barrier broke, she would be disturbed during the process of breaking through. Not only would Julie fail to break through, she might even suffer a backlash that would cause her internal strength base to decrease. If it was more serious, perhaps even her foundation would be affected, causing her future to be limited. "Someone is coming?" Publio declared. He and May's expressions turned cold as they stared at Imran. He continued, "Kill this outsider." "Leave him to me," May comforted him. She saw that Imran was just a level 4 God King, so she didn't take him seriously. So what if he had a Supreme Heavenly Emperor foundation? So did she. At the same time that May attacked, Publio kept transmitting his voice to disturb Julie. "This barrier can't protect you for long. Instead of being severely injured by the backlash, you might as well stop breaking through immediately. As long as you give me the energy of this purple flame lotus, I will let you retain some of it." He paused in thought, then went on. "Not only that, I will also allow you to follow me from now on. If you perform well, I can propose marriage to your mentor, the Holy Empress of Moon. In the entire Flame God Valley, only you are worthy of me, and vice versa." Julie turned a deaf ear to Publio's interference and only focused on breaking through. Such a performance naturally made Publio's expression gloomy. He could not help but send a sound transmission to threaten her, offering, "As expected, you are only thinking of yourself. The purple flame lotus was filled with extremely rich world origin energy. You actually want to take it all for yourself. You're simply selfish. Even if you absorb it all, it's not like you can surpass me. But if I have a sufficient amount of the lotus's energy, I can advance to the 7th level of the God King realm. It won't be impossible for me to use the remaining time in the God King space to advance to the 8th level." He paused in thought, then concluded, "And after I leave the God King space, I will soar to the Divine Emperor realm. Think of our Flame God Valley losing such an opportunity to increase its strength. Would you deprive our faction of that?" Julie twitched. She was disgusted by Publio's shameless words, but she quickly calmed down. She could not be disturbed right now. She had to break through to the 5th level of the God King realm as soon as possible. Right now, she had reached the most critical moment. With the world origin of the purple flame lotus, the process of moving from one realm to another would be dramatically shortened. At the same time, Imran and May finally met. Her eyes were ruthless. A terrifying aura was surging around her body. It was not any weaker than that of the fire lion at the end of the 4th level. With just her energy, Imran knew that she was a level 5 God King with a Supreme Heavenly Emperor foundation. It had at first seemed like she was on par with the Fire Lion, but the Fire Lion was definitely not a match for this woman. Knowing that the woman wasn't weak, Imran instantly unleashed his 9 solar divine physique and pure form immortal physique. The eternal spear appeared in his hand and thrust forward. "This energy isn't simple," May stated, slightly shocked. It was clear that Imran's combat strength was infinitely close to that of a level 5 God King. However, May wasn't afraid at all. She even let out a cold snort. In the next moment, her energy soared, and the temperature around her body plummeted. Her eyes became ice blue, reflecting the figure of Imran with a spear. "Finger of ice," she shouted. As if there was an endless chill attacking it, The fifth sublevel of space seemed to have arrived at an ice age. The sea of fire beneath the stone bridges was instantly suppressed to the extreme. In Imran's senses, it was as if an ice giant had broken through the ice layer and was crushing him with a finger. This was an extremely powerful, top-quality Divine King technique. "Eternal Milky Way!" Imran roared angrily. The surrounding space suddenly sank into a pitch-black starry sky world. Then, endless silver light attacked, forming a torrent. Boom! In an instant, the silver torrent collided with the icy column. Terrifying energy ripples spread out in all directions. The stone bridge closest to the ice giant collapsed under the impact. After Imran used all his strength, he kept retreating. The eternal spear kept shaking, and the front part of the spear was frozen. May also took a few steps back, but that was all she needed to do. At her level, she could use all kinds of ultimate skills and other enhancements. She was clearly an existence at the top of the level 5 God King realm.
Kid, being able to force me back is quite impressive, but that's all. A difference of 1 internal strength base is not something that can be easily made up for. Do you think this is still the lower level God King realm, and we're just playing around?
May pressed. In the next moment, the coldness in her eyes became even more intense. She opened her palms, and an ice blue flame emitting coldness appeared in front of her chest. With the appearance of this flame, the temperature of the 5th floor became lower, and a thin layer of ice formed on the stone floor underneath her feet. These stone bridges weren't ordinary. They were made from special materials. Even if a level 3 God King used all of his strength, he wouldn't be able to leave a mark on them. Similarly, the resistance of these stone slabs to the ice attribute was unprecedentedly strong. Even so, they were still frozen into a thin layer of ice by May. It could be seen through this how terrifying the ice power of this flame was. In the outside, she could freeze a formidable mountain on her own. Imran's expression turned serious. Previously, he thought it was experts from the other major powers fighting over the purple flame lotus with Julie. Now, it seemed like this other girl was also from the Flame God Valley. After May cast her most dangerous flame, the Frost Dragon Flame, she cast others, one after the next. "Go!" May shrieked as she smiled coldly. With the Frost Dragon Flame as the leader, there were a total of 6 terrifying flames attacking Imran. The weakest one was at the intermediate King-grade Divine Fire. Imran held the Eternal Spear and kept fighting with the flames. However, the gap between their internal strength realms was obvious. These divine flames weren't weak either. Soon, Imran was in great danger. One of them was almost hit by the Frost Dragon Flame and turned into an ice sculpture. Imran mused to himself, "I can only help Julie absorb immortal power." In the next seconds, strands of immortal divinity shot out from the 9 solar divine body. Imran's body shone with immortal radiance, as if a god had descended. As the immortal power merged with the 9 solar divine body, the power of the divine body increased tremendously, especially the 9 suns. The sunlight that shot out from the 9 suns contained immortal light. Once the immortal power was unleashed, the Eternal Spear pierced toward May at lightning speed. May was shocked. She had never thought Imran would suddenly release such an attack. "Frost Finger!" she shouted. The top-quality Divine King ultimate technique was fused with the Frost Dragon Flame. It was like a giant ice dragon had raised its claws and was smashing down fiercely. However, when the giant ice dragon's claws came into contact with the Eternal Spear, it collapsed at the first touch and was instantly shattered. Not only was the claw pierced, even the Frost Dragon itself was affected. May was furious. She spat out, "Don't think that you are the only one who has refined an immortal item." Then, an immortal divinity swept out from her body. She also released the immortal power that she had refined and stored inside herself. May's heart ached. Due to the limitation of her body's capacity, her immortal power was only slightly stronger. It would be used up after a few dispatches. Even though there was still an immortal item in her storage, refining an immortal item wasn't something that could be done in a short amount of time. She only hoped that the amount of immortal power stored in her opponent's body was even less. After May used the immortal power, Imran once again fell into a disadvantageous position. Helpless, he could only use even more immortal power. Imran was the reincarnation of a part of Maximus's original soul origin. Although his foundation was only that of a Supreme Heavenly Emperor, he was different from an ordinary Supreme Heavenly Emperor. This difference caused Imran to have more immortal power stored in his body. It was not something that May could compare with. That said, he couldn't use all his immortal power in one go. He had 10 units of immortal power, but the maximum damage output was 1 unit at a time. So, after 10 attacks, his resources would be exhausted. The only thing he could do now was stall. "Julie, hurry up and break through!" he shouted in his heart. In fact, Imran had already done enough. Originally, May and Publio had attacked the barrier together, but now it was only Publio. Naturally, the time it took for the barrier to break was greatly extended. Publio roared furiously. "May, come on! He's a level 4 God King. Just take care of him." Hearing this, a trace of grievance appeared in May's eyes. Publio clearly had no concept of how exceptional Imran was. Gritting her teeth, she sent out more immortal power, increasing her attack strength by a large margin. With the fusion of many divine fires, her destructive power wasn't any weaker than that of a level 6 God King, with the foundation of the Supreme Heavenly Emperor. Of course, that was only a matter of basic combat power. Faced with such power, Imran was forced to retreat continuously. He was even hit by the Divine Fire's attack several times. It was extremely dangerous, and he was almost swallowed by the Divine Fire several times. However, he always stubbornly and luckily dodged it. When Publio saw this scene, his expression darkened. If it wasn't for the fact that the barrier would recover at an unimaginable speed after he stopped attacking, he would have attacked long ago. That's right, the barrier that protected Julie had the ability to heal itself. It was a special treasure given to Julie by the Holy Moon Empress. A martial artist would likely have to be at the 7th level of the God King realm to destroy it. And this was Julie's first time using it, so it had all of its strength. Suddenly, May's aura fell, and the immortal power disappeared. It had been completely used up. Imran's eyes lit up. He thrust out the Eternal Spear. May, who didn't have the immortal power, couldn't resist this attack at all. She was pierced through and fell to the ground. Following May's fall, a God King spirit crystal floated in the air, and an extremely attractive world origin power spread out. The God King's Spirit Stone contained God King energy, which was the source of the world. Therefore, when they were at the same level, the value of a God King Spirit Crystal was higher than that of a God King Spirit Stone. The God King Spirit Crystal that May dropped was a level 4 varietal, like the one that the yellow-robed old man had dropped. However, May's was clearly superior in quality. "Damn it!" Publio muttered, frustrated that he now had to deal with Imran. He had expected May to score a decisive victory and to never have to actually speak to this guy. Thinking fast, he conceived of a way to continue breaking down the barriers surrounding Julie, proposing, "Friend, the purple flame lotus in the barrier contains world origin. If we can absorb it, it will be very beneficial to the both of us. Friend, you can easily break through to the 5th level with this resource. How about we work together to break through this barrier?" In fact, Imran was already prepared to fight Publio. Who would have thought that Publio would say such a thing? He couldn't help but feel shocked in his heart. This guy, what is he planning to do? Imran mused to himself quietly. He then noticed that Publio didn't give up on attacking the barrier as he spoke. A profound look flashed across his eyes as he had made some guesses. Fine, I'll just talk nonsense with this guy and buy Julie some time, Imran thought to himself. Then he ventured. I just killed your comrade. Are you really willing to join forces with me just like that? Publio's tone was indifferent as he reasoned. We were merely from the same sect. So what? That's nothing compared to a rare opportunity to elevate my internal strength base. He is really cold and heartless, Imran mused in his heart. As if reading Imran's emotions, Publio continued. Go ahead and judge me now. The higher your internal strength base, the crueler the competition. As we require high-level immortal items, we will inevitably have to fight for them, because there are a lot fewer. Obviously, Publio didn't feel that his actions were wrong. After pausing for a moment, he went on. Sir, do you want to join forces or not? Imran's eyes lit up. He reasoned aloud. Joining forces is not off the table, but the problem is, after breaking the barrier, who knows if you will suddenly become hostile? You are a level 6 God King. I wouldn't stand a chance. Then what do you want? Publio shot back, his eyes flashing in coldness. You must swear that you will not attack me after this, and you must swear this to heavenly knowledge, Imran said firmly. Publio's heart was boiling with anger. Swear to heavenly knowledge? Then he couldn't go back on his word, for fear of being struck down by a heavenly knowledge tribulation. Seeing Publio's expression, Imran smiled. Then he went on. As expected, you are planning to go back on your word after we have obtained the treasure, right? Then please forgive me for refusing your offer. Publio said angrily, If you don't join hands with me, could it be that you are planning to join hands with that woman inside the barrier? Why not? Imran stated cryptically. Publio smiled coldly as he insisted. She is selfish. She won't share this world origin with anyone. What makes you think she won't go back on her word if she has promised you something? Imran pretended to be naive as he reasoned. From what I know, this is not that kind of person. How could she not be? Sir, listen to me. This girl, Publio began, then went on to paint the darkest picture of Julie imaginable, still ignorant of the fact that she was Maximus's betrothed. Of course, Publio had heard that Julie had had a fiancé in her plane. However, in Publio's opinion, that meant nothing. Inhabitants of the lower planes were like ants to him. The guy was probably just an ordinary ancient god. Such a person was completely different from the Flame God Valley geniuses. Even after his extended discourse, Publio saw that Imran was still unmoved. He could hardly contain the desire to attack, but didn't want to waste his energy as his focus was still on destroying the barrier around the lotus. However, at this moment, Publio could only swallow his anger and say, "All right, I swear." Then he calmed himself down and continued, "Now, you will attack the barrier with me, right?" But at this time, Julie's aura inside the barrier suddenly expanded. Her momentum was unstable and could have clearly fallen back at any point. "This is bad. This girl has already reached the most critical moment of her breakthrough. She will soon succeed. We can't delay any longer," Publio declared as he ratcheted up his attack. At the same time, Imran also slowly walked toward Publio. Publio's face lit up. He advised, "Quickly, attack this point. That part of the barrier is extremely fragile. As long as this part is broken, the other parts will shatter in an instant." Imran quickly walked over to the spot Publio had indicated. Then he unleashed his full strength. The 9 solar divine body and pure form immortal body were pushed to the limit. Immediately after, immortal power rushed out like a tidal wave. The eternal spear turned into a ray of silver light and pierced toward Publio in an instant. Imran had chosen to launch a sneak attack. However, what he didn't expect was that Publio also attacked at the same time. A powerful world force erupted from his palm. The force was enough to destroy a level 4 God King, even one with a supreme heavenly emperor foundation. Logically speaking, Imran's sneak attack was incomparably fast. Furthermore, Publio's focus was on Julie. It was impossible for him to counterattack so quickly. There was only one possibility, and that was that they had thought of the same thing at the same time. Strangely, both of the men had chosen to ambush the other, but neither of them succeeded. As anyone could have predicted, Publio had no intention of sharing the world origin in the purple flame lotus with Imran. However, he had sworn an oath to heavenly knowledge. To avoid having to go back on his word, it was best to eliminate the competition right here and now before they broke through the barrier. A terrifying force blasted out like a storm. Imran and Publio both flew out. The powerful force spread along the eternal spear to Imran's thumb and forefinger, causing his hand to throb in pain. A wave of energy and blood surged within Publio's body, and his face instantly turned red. Due to the fact that a portion of the force was allocated to the barrier, and that Publio hadn't expected Imran to launch a sneak attack, the force of the attack wasn't strong either. Therefore, Imran suffered only minor injuries. A small wound was left on Publio's palm by the eternal spear. "How dare you!" he screamed as he flew into a rage. At this moment, Publio could no longer care about Julie. Only Imran was left in his eyes. He wanted to kill this bastard who had dared to injure him. Publio's level 6 God King energy shook the sky and earth. It spread across the entire 5th sublevel of the underground cave. Imran's breathing became rapid as he felt an unprecedented pressure on his body. "Die!" Publio roared furiously and unleashed a tremendous force. "Eternal Milky Way!" Imran countered as his facial expression changed drastically. The Eternal Spear turned into a silver torrent and rushed forward. When the silver torrent collided with Publio's furious strike, it instantly collapsed. In the blink of an eye, it was engulfed by Publio's power. After that, Publio's strike carried a terrifying force as it attacked Imran. Imran had no choice but to activate the immortal power stored in his body once more and transform it into an immortal object to block the attack. The immortal weapon that Imran had refined was based on the immortal handbone, and it contained an abundance of immortal power. However, Imran was only a level 4 God King, and there was a difference of 2 levels between him and Publio. Further, both had supreme heavenly emperor foundations. Publio's furious strike struck the light screen formed by the immortal object. The immortal light only resisted for a few breaths of time before it completely shattered. Although Imran had tried his best to retreat in this period, he once again thrust out the Eternal Spear and unleashed the Eternal Milky Way. At the same time, after the impact of the immortal power, Publio's attack had been greatly weakened. Even so, the Eternal Milky Way that Imran cast was once again broken through by Publio's strength. After that, Publio's attack slammed heavily onto Imran's body. Imran began gasping for air. His body flew backward like a broken kite. He landed on the ground in a sorry state and even rolled a few times before coming to a stop. "He could easily crush me," Imran whispered to himself. Publio's face darkened as he threatened. "Don't make another move. You're trash in my eyes, and I won't hesitate to kill you here and now." Light flashed behind Publio's back, and a large amount of lightning attribute divine fire was unleashed. Among the divine flames that Publio had awakened, there were 3 great flames that had reached the king grade. One was the heavenly profound thunder flame, which formed an endless fireball, and within the fireball was an extremely powerful form of lightning. In addition to the fireballs, the divine flame also formed all kinds of electric arcs that covered the 5th floor of the underground cave. Other attacks hit the barrier around the platform. However, this kind of force was nothing to the barrier. It could be seen with the naked eye that the surface was rapidly recovering after every time it struck. Imran kept dodging, but he was still hit by a few electric arcs. Even though he had a strong will, he still screamed in pain. Not long after that, Imran's body was in a miserable state. His skin burned from the impact of the flames. "Eternal Milky Way! 9 Suns Divine Sword! The 9 Solar Ripples!" Imran shouted. He used his ultimate skill, but it only lasted for a few breaths before it was broken. At this moment, the 9 suns on Imran's back were being suppressed by Publio's heavenly profound thunder flame. Apart from the fact that this flame was slightly stronger than the flames of the sun, the difference in grade between Imran and Publio was also an important factor. Imran's energy was constantly weakening. If it wasn't for the immortal power protecting Imran, he would have been turned into ashes by the lightning. As for Publio, he hadn't used his full strength yet. "This guy, what is his body made of? How can he store so much immortal power? And what is the immortal item that this guy has absorbed?" Publio wondered to himself. He thought for a moment, then went on. "His clan must have had a fortuitous encounter. Let's see what kind of treasure this guy has in his storage device after I kill him." Publio sneered. Indeed, Imran couldn't hold on any longer. Publio's flame power had penetrated through Imran's body and started invading his inner world. Once Imran's inner world was destroyed, even if he didn't die, he would fall to the ancient god realm. In the future, it would be 10 times more difficult for him to recondense his inner world and break through to the God King realm. Many God Kings who were lucky enough to survive the destruction of their inner worlds were stuck at the ancient god realm for the rest of their lives. Just as Imran was about to give up, Julie finally broke through to the 5th level of the God King realm, and her aura soared. The barrier shattered. Julie immediately discovered Imran's situation. Her devastatingly beautiful face revealed a touch of gloominess and anger. In the next moment, she waved her jade-like hand, and the 10,000-mile lightning flame, as well as her other divine flames, gathered in front of her. Then, they exploded toward Publio. Publio sneered as he watched Imran dodge the heavenly profound thunder flame. Then, suddenly, he felt 6 powerful flames rushing toward him. He subconsciously used the heavenly profound thunder flame to defend himself. In an instant, the flame aura filled the entire 5th sublevel of the underground cave. The heavenly profound thunder flame was totally engulfed. Only now did Publio realize to his shock that the 6 types of flames that attacked him were all top-grade, king-grade fires. 6 types of top-level king-grade divine flames. How is this possible? Publio blurted, his face filled with disbelief. After learning Vivint was killed by Julie, Publio began to think highly of her. But now, he realized that he had still underestimated her. To be able to control 6 top-grade king-level divine flames at the same time was an extremely rare talent in the history of the Axe family. So what if she can control 6 top-grade king-level divine fires? The gap in our internal strength bases more than makes up for the difference, Publio declared, attempting to recover his confidence. In the sea of fire formed by Julie's 6 great flames, Publio's heavenly profound lightning flame broke through and released even more violent energy, blasting the 6 great flames into pieces. Julie's expression didn't change, however. Of course, she knew how profound the gap between the 5th and 6th levels were, especially when both opponents had the same foundation, as was the case here. However, no matter how great the gap was, she had to make a move. The person she loved had been beaten to the point of dying. Julie's heart was filled with anger. "Merge!" she shouted. She did not hesitate to fuse the 6 top-grade king-level divine flames. A terrifying energy that could destroy the heavens and earth spread out. Even the heavenly profound thunder flame was forced to retreat a little at this moment. The entire 5th sublevel of the underground cave seemed to have been separated into 2 worlds by the heavenly profound thunder flame and the fused flames. Publio's expression turned cold. Although he could fuse the flames quite easily, only 3 of his divine flames had reached the peak of the king grade, and his opponent had 6 of them. Fortunately, my realm is 1 level higher than hers. If we were at the same level, I wouldn't be able to withstand a few moves from this girl, he thought to himself. Indeed, by any standard of the 3,000 divine worlds, a level 7 God King was a powerhouse. "Profound heaven lightning flame explode!" Publio shouted. He controlled the profound heavenly lightning flame and continuously unleashed terrifying lightning flames, rushing into the merged sea of flames. The sea of fire rolled and surged, fighting against the heavenly profound thunder flame. Julie's expression was calm as she kept merging with the sea of fire. Clearly, since her breakthrough to the 5th level of the God King realm, nearly all her flames had advanced. For in addition to boundless world origin, the purple flame lotus also contained an extremely rich flame energy. Various types of divine flames merged into the sea of fire. The might of the sea of fire was monstrous. Even Publio couldn't help but be wary of it. At the same time, Publio waved his hand. 2 flames that were as powerful as the heavenly profound thunder flame appeared. They were the remaining 2 king-grade divine flames of Publio. Publio didn't dare to underestimate Julie's fusion of many king-grade divine flames. He released more of his own flames, all of which had also advanced to the king grade. They merged together, mutually reinforcing each other. The 5th sublevel of the underground cave began to collapse. The stone bridge was broken, and the walls were covered in cracks. The combined flames created a heaven-shaking, earth-shattering sound as they attacked each other. Imran dragged his heavily injured body and staggered back to the 4th floor tunnel he had come through before. Sitting there, he placed a part of his attention on Julie and Publio's battle, and the other part was used to heal his injuries. The Divine King energy contained within the Divine King stones could not only enhance Imran's internal strength base, but also had a certain effect on the recovery of his injuries. Of course, this sort of recovery was mainly targeted at the inner world and world power. It did not treat the physical body. Even so, Imran was satisfied. As long as he could recover a certain amount of combat strength, it would be enough for him to help Julie a little. At the same time, the battle between Julie and Publio restarted. At their realm, they possessed numerous divine flames. The help of Divine King techniques was limited, though. As members of the Axe family, they preferred to use divine flames to attack enemies. The power of Julie's dozen or so divine flames, after merging, was indeed terrifying. But Publio's superiority in terms of internal strength base was also obvious. Both sides attacked the other, and both sides were injured. Suddenly, Julie's eyes flashed, and a bright golden flame appeared in her palm. This was the newly advanced king-grade divine flame that had formed after Julie broke through, the All Creation's golden flame. It was a divine fire with metal properties and destructive power. It was ranked very high among the divine flames of its class. As soon as the All Creation's golden fire appeared and merged into the sea of fire, Julie's attack increased again. Publio did not expect Julie to suddenly merge into another sea of fire, one at the peak of the king's stage. As a result, he suffered a small loss and let out a muffled groan. 7 king-grade divine flames, he muttered in awe. Now, in Publio's heart, Julie had already surpassed Lord Flame God. She was only at the 5th level of the God King realm after all. What would she be able to do at the 6th level, the 7th, and beyond? Publio secretly regretted his decision. He should have pursued this girl with boundless potential, instead of immediately speaking maliciously to her after being rejected. Publio wanted to make up with her, but who would have thought that he would be rejected by Julie the moment she opened her mouth? Furthermore, Julie's attacks were getting fiercer and fiercer, and her killing intent was overflowing. In the end, she even unleashed her immortal power. "Do you really have to kill me? All right, let's go all out," Publio declared with an anger so pure that he started laughing. The immortal power stored in his body instantly burst out. The two streams of immortal power were as vast as the ocean, shuttling back and forth in the sea of fire, constantly attacking each other. Publio had the upper hand in terms of level and was suppressing Julie. If Julie had not had 7 top-grade king-level divine fires and had not integrated them with the rest of the king-level divine fires, she might not have been able to hold on until now. The further one advanced in the God-King realm, the more significant the change in each level was. Indeed, it was like the difference between heaven and earth. If this were any other level 5 God-King, even if they had the foundation of a supreme heavenly emperor, they would only be killed in an instant by Publio's full strength. On the other hand, Julie had used all kinds of techniques. Although she was at a disadvantage, she was still able to hold on. In the 3,000 god world, it was extremely rare for someone to be able to achieve such a feat. Or perhaps it could be said that it was almost non-existent. Publio began to grow anxious about the consequences of eliminating Julie, so he reasoned. "Julie, you and I are from the same clan. We are both after the same opportunity. Surely, things don't need to go further." Once the murderer was marked by the curse of the infernal god, they would be exposed upon their return to the Flame God Valley. Thinking of the Holy Moon Empress, Publio was somewhat afraid. In the Flame God Valley, everyone knew that the Holy Moon Empress was a lawless person. She was just restraining herself given her socially prominent position. The consequences of angering such a god emperor could be imagined. Even if he had become a level 9 god king by the same time she confronted him, he was afraid that he wouldn't be able to escape death. And at that point, even if he didn't die, his foundation would definitely be destroyed by Holy Moon Empress, and he would have no hope of becoming a god emperor. Julie turned a deaf ear to his words. All she could think of in her mind was Imran's miserable appearance. Imran had taken such a mighty blow just to let her break through to the next realm. Now that she had successfully broken through, did it make sense to let Publio go? Seeing Julie looking at him as if he were her enemy, Publio cursed in his heart. Was she foolish? Was the hatred between them really so great? It couldn't be because of that outsider, right? Publio thought of Imran, and his face instantly twisted. The battle between the two had lasted for half a day. In the spatial zone, Publio's Sea of Fire occupied 2/3 of the space. It suppressed Julie's Sea of Fire to only 1/3 of its original size. It was obvious who had the greater advantage. "Idiot, since you are so stubborn, then even if the Holy Moon Empress takes revenge on you later, I can only kill you. Although the Holy Moon Empress is strong, my master is also not weak. It's not like she can control the entire valley." As Publio did not show any mercy, Julie was in danger several times. The Sea of Fire formed by the divine flame was once again suppressed to a smaller scale. Huh? Publio's eyes suddenly focused. He saw a silver light suddenly attack from a corner. The direction of the attack was extremely tricky to identify. Publio smiled coldly. He muttered, "Although you are weak, I have not forgotten your existence." That silver light was the manifestation of Imran's eternal spear. As Publio had focused all his attention on Julie, Imran had identified a window in which to launch a sneak attack. Unfortunately, he had underestimated Publio, who had never lost track of Imran's presence in the corner. A silver light struck. Publio threw out a punch. The power of the eternal spear forced Publio to take a few steps back. However, the spear was soon batted away like it was a toothpick. Imran jumped up, took the eternal spear, and landed next to Julie. When Publio saw this scene, he couldn't help but ridicule. "Ganging up on me? Is that your plan? You are both fools." Suddenly, Publio's attack sped up. Lightning and fire turned into fiery palms in the sea of fire, rushing toward Imran and Julie with a force that could topple mountains and churn seas. The two of them hurriedly blocked and kept retreating. "Julie, do you dare let my immortal power enter your body and merge with your divine flame?" Imran secretly transmitted his voice. "Why wouldn't I dare?" Julie replied. The immortal power that Imran and Julie obtained after refining an immortal item did not belong to them alone. Therefore, it could also fuse with the attacks of others. However, the process depended upon total mutual agreement. If there was a tiny bit of rejection, this process would fail. As the side that was injected with immortal power, the backlash would cause them to suffer severe injuries. It could be said that unless both parties had absolute trust in each other, it was basically impossible to inject the immortal power into the other party. Yet at this point, Julie's trust in Imran had reached the extreme. Imran was secretly touched. After that, he didn't dare to be neglectful and placed his palm on Julie's back. He continuously transferred the remaining immortal power into her body. Publio suddenly burst into laughter. He never thought that Imran and Julie would decide upon such a suicidal action. "You two are truly ridiculous," he spat out. Publio didn't believe that Imran and Julie would succeed, so he had a playful expression on his face. He even slowed down his attack to see Julie and Imran's expressions when they were severely injured by the backlash. Julie's face flashed with a trace of pain as she endured Imran's immortal power, for it had exceeded the limits of her endurance. Julie already had a lot of immortal power in her body, and there was also the immortal power that Imran had given her. Even though this immortal power would soon be sent out and focused into the divine fire, it still caused Julie's body to suffer great torture. Publio was still smiling as he looked at Julie's pained expression. However, the look in his eyes changed dramatically soon after, for he was stunned to find that the sea of fire around her body was soon erupting with even more powerful immortal fire and immortal radiance. In just a breath's time, the power of his opponent's sea of fire had skyrocketed, suppressing the sea of fire around him with a single strike. A wave of unprecedented pressure assaulted him like ocean waves, layer after layer. "Wait, could it be?" Publio mused aloud in wonder as his eyes widened. He suddenly realized that he had overlooked something. By any rational standards, it was unwise for a level 4 God King to provoke a level 6 God King. Yet this guy before him had done just that. Before this point, he hadn't thought about it carefully and only assumed that the other party wanted to monopolize the purple flaming lotus. This was why he had launched a sneak attack on him. But now that he reviewed the recent events, he realized This guy had essentially been buying time for Julie to break through. And Julie clearly did not have any enmity with him. Yet she had decided to fight him to the death. What was going on? Clearly, this relationship was not ordinary. His eyes flashed with recognition. Everything made sense. "You two know each other," Publio blurted out, but what awaited him was a sea of fire. Julie's own immortal power, combined with Imran's immortal power, had allowed Julie's 7 top king-grade divine flames to merge and each to gain in force, exceeding the limit of a king-grade divine flame. And after these divine flames had completely fused together, the effect was truly astonishing. The combined flame was about 1/3 of the way to the status of an immortal divine fire. "No!" Publio cried out in shock. He controlled the powerful divine flame that he had fused with to defend against the incoming sea of fire. However, it didn't work. Facing the incomparably powerful Julie, Publio's divine flame was continuously defeated, and he had no way to defend himself. He was extremely regretful. If he had known that the other parties were familiar with each other and trusted each other to such an extent, he would never have entered into this morass. He shouted crazily, "Julie, are you crazy? How dare you attempt to kill me? Don't forget that my master's line has many geniuses. Think of Copita. She's entered the God King's space at the 7th level. She will likely leave at the 8th. "Copita?" Julie repeated, frowning. This woman was indeed a troublesome opponent. However, Julie knew that if she let Publio go, he would seek revenge for the death of May, and no doubt kill Imran. Thinking of this, her desire to eliminate him increased. So what if she would be marked by the curse of the infernal god? Julie's face gradually turned pale, and she kept letting out muffled groans. With Imran's immortal power, the power of these divine flames would become extremely terrifying. But controlling these divine flames would also bring great pressure to Julie. Once these divine flames failed to be controlled properly, both Julie and Imran might be devoured by the divine flames before Publio. "I am a level 6 God King. How can I die in this place?" Publio furiously roared. While he was trying his best to release the fused divine flames, he was also constantly looking for a way to escape. Unfortunately, Julie had essentially surrounded him. Publio reasoned to himself in desperation. "I don't care anymore. I'll give it my all. The divine flames in the outer region aren't as terrifying as the ones in the inner region. I might be able to withstand it." He chose a direction and rushed over. The heavenly profound thunder flame behind him was barely able to withstand Julie's divine fire. In front of him, Publio was using his ultimate technique to split the divine fire into 2 paths. Julie's control over the divine flame in the outer region was indeed slightly lower. In addition, most of the divine flames were being used to suppress the heavenly profound thunder flame at this point. Publio's ultimate technique blasted into the divine fire. Sure enough, the divine fire spread to either side, creating a passageway of sorts. After a few more attempts, the chances of success increased. However, at this moment, a ray of silver light shot over. It was Imran, who had freed his hand, casting out the eternal Milky Way once again to launch a sneak attack on Publio. Normally, Publio wouldn't even register this skill as a threat. But at this moment, he was using more of his strength to maintain the heavenly profound lightning flame. He had also used his ultimate skill to attack the divine flames in the perimeter of the chamber. There wasn't much energy left in his body to defend against Imran's attack. The eternal spear was sent flying once again. However, Publio let out a muffled groan and began to wheeze. At the same time, he kept retreating. When he used his ultimate technique to blast into the divine flame, the path that he had created with great difficulty was once again sealed off. "Bastard!" he blurted, his heart burning with fury. Just a little bit more, and he might have been able to escape. At this moment, Publio's hatred toward Imran suddenly soared. Julie, meanwhile, enveloped Imran in her divine flame. If Publio wanted to take revenge on Imran, he had to pass through the very center of this sea of fire. Publio gritted his teeth, and a fierce light flashed across his eyes. He would take Julie on directly. At the same time, Imran could tell that Julie wouldn't be able to hold on for long. Therefore, he took the opportunity to launch a sneak attack. At this critical moment, Imran's attack was decisive. It caused clear damage to Imran's divine body. Perhaps these injuries weren't serious, but when accumulated, they were impossible to ignore. Of course, for this reason, Imran had been hit by Publio quite a few times as well. His injuries were even more severe, and even his soul origin seemed to be slightly damaged. In this battle, even if Publio was killed, Imran and Julie would still suffer heavy injuries. The battle extended over a day and night. Julie's aura became weak, and the power of her divine flame dropped drastically. It was the same for Publio. Both of them were far from their peak. Neither could have even defeated May at this point.